This is the IQ test, which is a web application for testing your wits by Jacob G, Claudio S, and David F. The problem that this web application is for is assessing a user's knowledge and adding only those who complete all of the questions to the leaderboard at the end. The design, our approach towards implementation was basically a simple IQ test where users are presented various problems and must get a question right to move on. And they have and our general interface was to be made up of both HTML, CSS, and PHP, creating various div blocks in order to represent different sections of our websites. Main transitions and animations were a href in order to navigate between pages, various functions to retrieve user information, a bid score, and lastly, organize the entire web application. The basic design in this diagram is that the user will enter the main page and they'll see index, which has a home button that'll redirect to the index again, and the high score button, which will show them to the highscores.php, which displays all the high scores with all the user and their score, and a name and text box and a submit button so you can start, which will display the series of trivia questions, which will show you a trivia question and 4 answer choices. And you click on an answer choice that you think is right, and you submit. And if it's wrong, it'll redirect you back and say try again. Or if it's right, you'll get a point and it'll display the next trivia question until they're all finished. And then you submit at the end, and your score will be submitted to the database, and you'll be shown all the high scores to see how you rank with everyone else that took it. And for testing, it was tested by inserting new HTML styling and verifying like if it's correct. And you have to sit through and discuss various ways to style the page and make it look neat, and that all the logic in aspects of the web app made sense and worked as we ran through and try to solve it on our own.
All right. The input output vary from from first entering your name and then each of the selected answers to each question. Additionally, navigating through and submitting your solutions as well as viewing your score and or returning to the web page. Main data is stored with users name and where users name and score throughout the quiz session. This is stored in a txt file. As a matter of every line, there's gonna be one name and one score, so we can later retrieve it. This is the overview of the website.
All right, so this is the first, I guess, index page where you present a user to the website. Here, they will enter their name to get started, and upon completing it, they can view their high score. And just as a little bit of reference, we borrowed all our questions from brainly.in. And yep. Upon going through the first, second, third, etc. questions, all we have is a question that's sort of trivial. And based off of getting each question right, the score is updated. So here we're on question number 2. And so far we've answered number 1 correctly, and that's why our current score is 1. And upon completing each round, we present the user with a congratulations on completing that round number. And the score continues to be updated and let user know. Now we move on to the next round. We're on round 2, question number 2. And so far we have a score of 4 and continue to move forward. And upon completing the entire quiz trivia, the user gets added to a high score page where we keep track of everyone in their attempted scores. A little bit about the source code. So this is for the index. We included a header and a footer that stayed static throughout the entire code base. And all we did was post all of our form actions to various other pages, such as R1 question one, round one question one. This is just our header. We kept it fairly simple. We included a style sheet called style.css where we store all of our styling for our web application. Same goes for our footer, same general context. And we have this is a sample question. I believe question R, round one, question one. We have uh, the description of the question itself, as well as how we stored each of the solution. We use radio as a type of input, and the user will simply select, and it will get pushed out to our PHP server to check and validate before moving on. The same applies for our next question template, R1Q3. Same idea of using radio and pushing out to our post PHP server. And another example where we continue to use radio and push out to our post. Throughout this whole entire process, we keep a track record of the username as well as their score, and this gets updated continuously. And upon completing round, we present the user with the congratulation page on completing that round number and continue to push forward. So this is what we served as our sort of database. This is where all of our main functions for saving a user and updating the points was kept in place. As you can see, upon completing the quiz, we run save user, where a user score gets appended to our score.txt, which is just a text page full of scores, as well as with their name and the amount of points they have. And later on, this is our score. So on our final page, or where the user could go and view their score, we just list out all the scores that were stored inside our store's Git content. And yep, that's about it. And
Thank you. Alright, so right now I'm gonna test the web page. So first we put in our name. I'll put a work test because I'm testing it for you guys. So after I submit the first question, it's gonna tell you right here your current score. So basically, if you answer it wrong, you're gonna have 0, but if you answer it right, it's gonna be 1. So now we keep going through all the questions. This is gonna happen after the end of every round. It's gonna give you a completion message and then continue to the next round, which is gonna be a little bit harder every time. This it pulls the name from the cookies I save. I can show you guys the code right now of how it retrieves the name in every file. So this is on the first question. It's gonna get the name from the post of the other file, and I'm gonna set a cookie also named name with the time of 24 hours, which is a day. And then in the other questions, every other file that I will want to reach for the name, I will just look for it if it exists in the $sign underscore cookie array, and if it exists, I'm gonna save it to an input, which is gonna be in a input value, which is gonna be hidden, so I can also send it through other files. And so let's keep going to see if it's safe the user. 6 rounds in total, I think. Yeah, 6 rounds in total. Alright, at the end of round 6, it's gonna tell you to see your high scores and your current score. So here, as you can see, it saved the work test as the result that I had, and it organizes all the users in the in our database, which is a text file, by score, by highest score. And as we can see here, our notepad should be around here. Scores.txt. These are the users. So how we reach them is that we have another file called database where we get all the information. So how we save it is that we use a new line every time. So then if we're gonna get all the users, we can just split it, as every new line is gonna be a new user, and it's gonna check if it's gonna validate if the name or number is right, so we don't have spaces in our text, and it's gonna be easier. And then at the end, it's gonna sort by the score, descending these two arrays, the scores and the names, and it's gonna return it on another array. So yeah, this is how our web page works. Thank you for listening.